The Watergate scandal was one of the most profound political crises in American history, ultimately leading to the resignation of President Richard Nixon and shaking public trust in the government. It all began in the early hours of June 17, 1972, when 5 men were caught breaking into the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee, DNC, at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C. Initially, the burglary appeared to be a simple case of political espionage, but as investigators delved deeper, they uncovered a far-reaching conspiracy involving the highest levels of the Nixon administration. The burglars were later identified as operatives working for the Committee to Re-elect the President, CREEP, an organization dedicated to securing Nixon's re-election in the 1972 presidential race. The break-in was not an isolated event but part of a broader campaign of political sabotage against Nixon's perceived enemies, including illegal wiretaps, break-ins, and attempts to discredit opposition figures. Despite Nixon's overwhelming victory in the 1972 election, the cover-up of the burglary soon began to unravel. Journalists Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein of The Washington Post pursued the story relentlessly, aided by an anonymous government informant known as Deep Throat, later revealed to be FBI Associate Director Mark Felt. Their reporting, along with investigations by the FBI, the Senate Watergate Committee, and the Justice Department, gradually exposed the extent of the corruption. It was revealed that White House officials had paid hush money to the burglars and pressured the FBI to halt its investigation. In early 1973, key figures such as former White House counsel John Dean and former Attorney General John Mitchell became embroiled in the scandal, and a Senate committee began televised hearings that riveted the nation. Dean's testimony was particularly damning, as he directly implicated Nixon in orchestrating the cover-up. One of the most explosive revelations came in July 1973 when it was discovered that Nixon had installed a secret recording system in the Oval Office. These tapes held undeniable evidence of his involvement in obstructing justice, yet Nixon fought vigorously to prevent their release, citing executive privilege. The situation escalated further in October 1973 with the infamous Saturday Night Massacre, when Nixon ordered the firing of Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox after he subpoenaed the tapes. This led to the resignation of both Attorney General Elliot Richardson and Deputy Attorney General William Ruckelshaus, deepening the public's outrage and intensifying demands for accountability. In early 1974, legal and congressional pressure mounted. The Supreme Court ruled in United States v. Nixon that the president must surrender the tapes, and when they were finally released in August, they provided irrefutable proof that Nixon had directly orchestrated the cover-up. The House Judiciary Committee had already approved articles of impeachment for obstruction of justice, abuse of power, and contempt of Congress, making Nixon's removal from office almost certain. On August 8, 1974, Nixon announced his resignation in a nationally televised address, becoming the first U.S. president to step down from office. The next day, Vice President Gerald Ford was sworn in as the 38th president and soon issued a controversial pardon for Nixon, preventing him from facing criminal prosecution. The Watergate scandal had a lasting impact on American politics and governance, leading to reforms designed to limit executive power, including the strengthening of campaign finance laws, greater congressional oversight of intelligence agencies, and increased protections for whistleblowers. The scandal also fostered a deep mistrust of government, as Americans saw firsthand how a president had abused his authority for political gain. Watergate remains a symbol of political corruption and a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power.